Robert Altman has made 35 films over the past 43 years. Known as a maverick in the industry, his films have always broken with convention. They include MASH, Nashville, and The Player. His latest film, Dr. T and the Women, follows the story of a successful gynecologist, played by Richard Gere, whose personal life is spinning out of control. Here's a clip from the film.
We met. She's got something special about her. Something that sets her apart from the rest.
Well, the gynecologist says there's no two alike. I guess there's no two alike.
I am pleased to have both director Robert Altman and Dr. T himself, Richard Gere, back at this table. You both have been on this show 5 times. You 5 and you 5.
Really?
So what is this, got 5.5 if we do it together?
That's right. You only get a half point here. Or we only pay you half when you
we get
appear
a lot
with
of
someone
money
else.
for this.
By the way, we get an
enormous amount of money.
It's probably the most generous show
I had to
on
pay
television.
my own tax fare to get up here.
Did you really? They didn't send the limousine to stretch for you?
No, I sent my own car, actually, to get up here. I refused to walk.
Well, paid for by the movie company, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
How are you?
I'm across the street, so I walk.
Yeah. So it's easier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, tell me about this movie, because I think you said somewhere, you had a great quote. I love this film, and we did have a lot of fun. I can't do it any better. So if somebody doesn't like it, it's not my problem, because I can't make it any better. I love this film.
That's my statement.
And I'm standing by it.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it.
No, I just, you know, every time you start out to do these paintings or whatever you want to call them, you have the wall and you have the paint and the idea. Everybody does their best. I mean, everybody tries. But there's bumps and rough edges on it and things that you have to, it takes you this way and then back this way. This just came together so kind of smoothly. When we did our first cut, that's the assembly of the film, after we'd finished shooting it, we looked at it and I said, it's finished. We took 8 minutes out of it, maybe, something like that.
My best scenes they took out.
And of course they did.
No, it took about maybe 8 minutes.
You took his Oscar opportunity away.
Tightened it up, and it just
He'll always say
it just fell together.
Now, characterize working with him, Richard. You worked with a lot of directors. I mean, I don't want you to praise him. I just want you to characterize.
No, I'm going to praise him. I want to try to say something I haven't said, but I've praised him so much. I don't know if I can come up with something new. I was talking to Glenn Close, who worked on the last picture, Cookie's Fortune, with the same writer and rap.
Yeah,
and I hadn't seen Glenn, since before we started the movie, and we both just looked at each other and smiled. He said, "It's great, isn't it?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, it's just you really look forward to working every day." There's a certain, what I've been saying is true. There's a certain shamanistic quality that Bob has that you kind of, you're going to the Magi, when you go to work with him, and you kind of willingly give yourself to his fairy dust, and you let the magic dust just take over everything, and the atmosphere is very embracing, and free, and playful. I would say it's more. If I had to characterize it in one way, I'd say playful. We all come there as top professionals. We all know what we're doing. We all work hard, but when we get here, we play. And the play allows for some surprises to us, and I think to Bob and to all of us as we're doing it. But if you don't have that sense of security and willingly everyone giving themselves to the fairy dust, you can't play well.
How does he get all these good people? Now, he's a great director.
Have you ever had anyone turn down?
No, I mean, please. Oh, come on. You got Kate
yeah.
Hudson, who you couldn't be hotter now after Almost Famous,
but when we hired her, nobody knew who Kate Hudson was.
Well, that's how you can recognize talent. You got Richard, you got Helen Hunt, not bad.
Not bad.
You've got Farrah Fawcett in a very interesting piece here, performance. Who else have we got here? I'm missing somebody.
Shelley Long.
Shelley Long is great.
Laura Dern.
Especially when she's doing the massage number.
And Liv Tyler and...
yeah, you just passed over Laura Dern. I mean, Laura Dern, who was a great actress, took a part that was very underwritten.
Yeah. Well, it was a part that was not a part. It was just a color.
Yeah, just a paintbrush, as he says. Yeah. And she, with Bob's help and working with the ensemble, she probably steals the movie.
Oh boy,
every
she
scene
is.
she's in.
I know
just-
she is. What do you expect of actors?
Well, what I look for what I want to see is something I've never seen before.
You want to be surprised
Yeah. So I can't very well tell the actor what that is.
because you don't know, or because you want them to find it.
No, because I don't know. I certainly, if every film came out with every image that just went through my mind, they would be dreadful. I cannot think.
I've worked with directors who did that, by the way, who literally just their dreams. And it was Kurosawa late in his career. It was literally just doing his dreams. So every image was in his head, and he would paint it out. And the production designers and it would be the same angle that he drew it, you know, for the camera, and we acted it to fit in what that drawing was. And it's not his best work, I don't think, because of that. It lacked that quality of mystery of what's going to happen.
Well, but let me just not leave Kurosawa for a second. Was he everything you expected of him? I mean, was the experience just totally different from what you might have imagined?
No,
Beyond
it
what
was
you
a
just
wonderful
said.
experience. You know, I didn't think it was the best script. I'll take it back to Bob here.
Okay.
When I did that movie, I was so happy just to do a Kurosawa film. It was clear this was not his best script, and he said, "Look, I know it's not my best script, but the guys that I worked with are all dead now, and I don't like any of the new guys." So there was a reason for that. So if you make a film with Robert Altman, you want it to be a prime Altman film.
Yeah.
So when I read this script, this is prime Altman.
Yeah.
This allows Bob to do everything he does well, and there's room for us as actors here to do our thing with him.
So Laura can enlarge, enhance, and do all this other stuff, and so can you.
Absolutely.
Okay, but what is Bob's thing? I want you to define that for me. I mean, obviously, let me tell you the obvious stuff. I mean, it is the intersection of 7 small stories.
Absolutely. The lives are always
Yeah.
intertwined, walking all over each other.
Yeah.
And there's never any value judgment. He never makes a moral judgment about these people. And I don't think you ever have in any of your films that I can remember. People are just doing the best they can to get through a life. And we all have reasons why we're doing things, and none of them are evil. You know, we trip over ourselves and trip over other people in the process of finding happiness somehow.
All right.
Part of my life was, I was sad for a good 6 months to a year, because after reading The Color Purple, and I just thought that book just overwhelmed me. And then the film they made out of it, I thought it was just dreadful. I thought it was just the opposite of what it was to be.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, and I don't mean it was.
No, I don't mean
not
to talk about
attacking,
Steve, but
but I mean it was somehow it became done by numbers. In other words, I don't know how it became that, but it was certainly the wrong thing. It was the opposite of what the book was.
You read a lot.
I don't read. I read, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Who's influenced you the most? I mean, how come Robert Altman became the way he is?
I think the truth of that is that that the people that have influenced me the most, the film directors who influenced me the most, I don't know their names, because I will see a film and I say, this is so bad. I want to be sure never to do that.
Yes, I know. Wherever I've heard.
So if I come up on that same kind of situation, I go, uh-oh, that's a place to avoid.
Take a look at this clip from Dr. T and the Women.
Kate, talk to me.
Farrah Fawcett. That's an inspired idea. I mean, she hasn't. Where did it come from?
Well, I didn't know her. I saw her in Bobby Duvall's film, the Apostle, and I thought she was terrific in that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She just came to my mind, and Richard and I talked about it.
I was a big supporter of that idea.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
I mean, to ask why does not suggest why not. I mean, just why.
yeah, no, it was for very positive reasons. It was what I saw in the character. I think when we talked about it was the cheerleader. It was the perfect girl. It was the trophy wife. It was all of that.
It was even
20
Texas,
years later,
and Texas,
and Texas, and 20 years later, and to have someone who has Farrah's history herself personally, that is quite unusual.
Struggle and all that.
But also still maintains this really childlike innocence that is real. It's not feigned.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mask. It's real. It seemed to be so perfect for this part. Plus, she is a very skilled actress. I thought she was great.
And she's very shy. I mean, she gets herself in that interview trouble that she's had a couple of times. And
she's nervous.
It's just
shy,
because she's, but she's wonderful. And she was she was duck soup to work with. I mean, she was very creative.
I've seen some very strong and powerful people get that way in interview form. People really get nervous. I mean, if you do television a lot or you're on a lot, you forget that it's not a natural place for most people in the world to be.
No, it really isn't.
And no matter how famous or how powerful or how many times they've been interviewed before. Take a look at this. This is Kate Hudson, Almost Famous. Remember when Cameron Crowe was here? Hey, take a look. This is Kate Hudson.
Can we leave now?
All right.
Bye, honey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, bye-bye, y'all. Good to see ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye. Here we go, doll.
I'll give you two things, an insight here. One is we're watching this. Richard says that's a prime Altman scene. And I said, how many takes? He said 4, maybe 3. Richard said 4 cameras. Bob said 2.
Well, the actors aren't. The actors, it's none of their business to know where the cameras are. How many cameras
you never know where the
there
cameras
are.
No. And I had one epiphanal.
First of all, you can't see.
No, I'm totally blind. I can't see you now. Bob, it was
Better.
really nice
Thank you very much.
Really.
I'll have you again.
No, but I didn't go to dailies, which is usually a whole thing with Bob's movies, but I was tired. I just done a picture before, and to tell you the truth, I just wanted to get away from all the girls, which is all day long, and just some quiet at night. But I did come to dailies one night, and there was a scene which you probably are not going to show here, but it took place in the waiting room of my clinic. Mm-hmm. And one camera came up, and it was, what was the scene, the written scene, in the foreground. The women come up, they're arguing, and things going on, blah, blah, blah. And then he cut to the other shot we saw in dailies, and it was a zoom. And he started with them, and he zoomed right between the 2 women in the foreground, and he goes to this old lady who's in the corner, who's sitting down, and she's brooding about something back there. And you don't know what she's going to do, but there's something going on that is far more interesting than what the foreground activity is. No one knew he was doing this.
She's brooding because Dr. T is taking so long. She doesn't know when she's going to get in. That's why she's brooding. She doesn't know behind those closed doors he's having a nervous breakdown.
That's true. We never knew exactly what he was shooting.
What's going on? Let's talk about characters. Farrah Fawcett, what's going on with her in this film?
In this film?
Yeah.
I think that she is a woman who married this wealthy that social strata that's it's in every city, every community. Dallas is a lot more of them, I think, because I don't know why Dallas is there. Somebody stopped and built a bank, I think. I mean, there's no mountains, there's no ocean, but
a place on the stagecoach run.
Yeah, and so they go shopping. But a woman who has a family, she's totally taken care of, as Dr. T, Richard's character, says she does, and so there's nothing for her to do, and she reverts into a childlike state.
In fact, Lee Grant, was that Lee Grant?
Yeah.
Lee Grant, who plays a psychiatrist, says there's a condition called
Hestia,
which means you're getting too much love.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Which everyone believes is a real illness now,
well,
but the writer made it up.
Yeah.
Speaking of the writer, this was Anne Rapp, right?
Yes.
This comes from a short story.
When Anne Rapp I'd known her. She was married to a friend of mine, and she worked as a script supervisor on films. And I knew her when I used to go to the racetrack with her a lot. She's kind of a junkie gambler. And she disappeared. They got divorced, and suddenly somebody said, "Oh, Ann's at Mississippi or Ole Miss studying writing with Barry Hannah." Barry Hannah is an acquaintance of mine, a terrific writer. And so I called her and I said, "Ann, I think it's great you're working with Barry. What do you do?" "Oh, we're just doing short stories." And I said, "Well, let me read a coup." "Oh, no, So she sent me finally 3 short stories. The first one was called Dr. T. It was about a 4-page story. And it was about a gynecologist in Dallas, and his, it wasn't this story, but it was in the same it was the same kind of thing. And then I put her under contract, and she wrote for 3 years. She wrote just for me. She wrote a television thing we did called All the President's Women. Then she wrote Cookie's Fortune. And then we were working on another project, the Elite Cafe, I think it's called. And it just wasn't working for me, and I stopped and I said, "Ann, let's get on something new. This this isn't my kind of thing." And we didn't know what. She said, "What?" I said, "What about that first story?" And we dug it out. I said, "Let's do this gynecologist thing." And she said, "Well, I could do that." I said, "Well, let's just develop that and make it and this is what the result was.
Cry, yeah. And I believe it. I mean, people swear it's true. I believe it.
What's Richard going through in this movie? What is Dr. T? What's happening to him?
I think Dr. T,
too many women at one time,
no,
too many problems.
Well, he is overwhelmed, pussy whipped, or whatever that's called.
It was almost the title of the movie. Thank God it was not.
I was just going to say, do you know the condition, Richard?
But he's a guy who our stock answer is that he's been looking at women from the wrong end.
Right. He's a gynecologist.
Too many years. But who feels that who loves women, adores them, has this thing about women,
sends hymns to them,
and feels he should do everything for them. And by doing everything for a woman, you take away their personality, their individuality, and his wife, the Farrah Fawcett character, just reverted into the Hestia world. And I think up through to the last scene with Helen Hunt, when he says, you won't have to play golf anymore. You won't have to, I'll do everything for you. And she says, why would I want that? Yeah. And whack, the axe comes down.
Roll tape. Here's the scene.
I want us to be together. It's you and me. And I want us to get the hell out of here as far away as we can. So come on, let's just go. Let's go. Come on. Get in the damn car and get out of here.
Tell me about the last scene.
I guess I have to.
No, you don't have to.
The last scene is, I think, we really try to keep a little quiet about it because it is, I think without the last scene.
It's a different movie.
It's a trivial film. And the last scene is very powerful. Men cry. And it's an epiphany, really, of what this is. It was the first scene we shot.
Why would that be the first scene?
Because we were down in Dallas and we set it up.
It was just set in circumstances?
Yeah.
Well, it was part of it was the first thing you shot.
Yeah, the part of the actual event.
Yeah.
And then the desert stuff was the last thing we shot. So we had this powerful scene of this birth, really, and everybody who came in saw that, and it kind of gave all the actresses, they come in, I would run that scene for them, and it's a fascinating thing.
First time it's been done in a feature film?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know, but
I think
certainly lit that well.
Yeah. Yes, you've seen the babies born in different, with all the green stuff around them. But it just without that, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about this film.
Without that.
No, because I think that wound it up. When we started talking about Europe and different places we were opening, the people who put the money up came and said, we may have to cut that scene in certain countries. I said, well, you'll just have to not show the film in certain countries, because the scene can't be cut, because with that scene out of the film, there is no film. And
there's a line my character has in it, which you'll remember exactly the line, but it's about talking about Farah and her problem, and she said, well, she's out of touch with the mystery.
Yeah, the mystery.
And it's essentially what the film constructs us to, and what Bob has directed us to, is to the mystery. And that's what that last scene is. Yeah. And without the kind of openness, the unbounded quality of that mystery, I think the film is trivial, as Bob says.
Oh, it's good. It's funny, and the performances are all skilled as hell.
But it gets spacey at the end. I like it. I really like where it goes.
Thank you for coming. Robert Altman and Richard Gere.